This is, this is what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are trying to do. They want to get their greedy little hands on literally trillions of dollars and share it with the banker buddies who keep them in power. I think one of the most underreported stories of the 2 weeks, of the Christmas, New Year's holiday weeks, was what's going on with the Social Security Administration. You recall when Elon Musk came in and just started gutting the federal government, fired 200,000 people, shut down USAID, crippled our soft power around the world, just did major damage to the credibility and health of the United States and our ability to serve our own people, frankly. One of the things that they did was lay off about 8,000 people at Social Security. Now, Republicans have always hated Social Security. Franklin Roosevelt, when he came to power in 1933, in March of 1933, when he was sworn in, he explicitly said, well, not in these words, but close enough, that one of the goals of his administration to lift us out of the Republican Great Depression was to make America the first country in the world where more than half of us would be living in the middle class, and that was defined as one job, one wage earner, could buy a home, could buy a car, could put the kids through college, could retire in old age with a decent retirement, could take a vacation every year, just the basic kind of core stuff. And
this could be one of the greatest opportunities you're ever going to see. But for those who ignore this warning, they will see their portfolios plunge.
And there were a bunch of things that he did to do this: the minimum wage, unemployment insurance, workplace safety standards, the 5-hour or 5-day work week, the 8-hour day. But one of the most important of them was Social Security, because at that point in 1933, one of the leading causes of death among people over 65 was hypothermia in the winter and heat stroke in the summer. People just, they couldn't afford to heat their homes, or they didn't have air conditioning back then, but they just couldn't deal with it. And malnutrition was associated with an awful lot of the diseases of old age. So Social Security radically cut the death rate among older people and gave people actually a retirement. Well, the Republicans hated it. They absolutely hated it. They saw it as, number one, if it was successful, it would be proof that government could do things that really should be done by them, by the billionaires, by the banksters. Number two, they saw it as taxing their wealth to provide for the little people, which Republicans have always hated. The whole idea. Well, Rush Limbaugh used to epitomize it back in the day before he passed away. One of his favorite jokes that he used to tell was, "What do you do when a man is down? You kick him. Otherwise, he won't get up." Right? This, it's like, a play on the old saying, "Never kick a man when he's down." And so, their idea was that Social Security was making older people lazy or something like that. I don't know. But they've always hated it. The Republicans have tried to destroy Social Security ever since it was put into law in 1935. And now Donald Trump is trying to do it again. Nowadays, it's not so much, we just don't think the government should be doing this, as it is that, Jamie Dimon, who just took, a couple $100 million in pay, apparently. I just saw the headline. I didn't read the whole article over on the Financial Times. But you've got these guys, these billionaires who run these big banks out of New York, and there's $2.5 trillion in the Social Security Trust Fund. And Social Security handles over $1 trillion a year. And they're looking at all that money and going, wow, and this is all being administered at less than 1% overhead. And they're doing a good job of it. Well, if we could get our hands on that money, we could just, we could put a 2 or 3% skim on the top, and we could make ourselves hundreds of billions of dollars a year, or at least tens of billions of dollars a year. There's money to be made here. All we have to do is buy a bunch of Republican politicians something that was authorized by Clarence Thomas's deciding vote on the Supreme Court after he himself had been bought by a billionaire. So pretty straightforward stuff. So how do we get the American people to go along with this? Because people generally like Social Security. It works. You get these checks when you retire. Isn't that a wonderful? So how do you do it? Well, you cripple Social Security. You break it so it doesn't work anymore. And then people will be seriously pissed off. 12,000 people a day turn 65, age into Social Security eligibility. 12,000 people a day. And most of them would like, or many of them certainly, I mean, you know, it is possible to sign up online, I believe. I had to go in person. Louise and I did it in person. We had to go to the Social Security office physically. So what do they do? Elon Musk lays off just a little short of 8,000 people from Social Security. Now they're talking about closing the local offices. They want to shut down as many, as many of these offices around the country as they can. And the result is that Social Security is falling apart in terms of its ability to do customer service. I got an email from Social Security at the end of the year saying that there was a notice for me in my inbox. And I'm pretty sure it was, the annual cost of living adjustment raise. But so I thought, I went online to say, okay, cool. Let's see what it says. And the Social Security site was browned out. I couldn't access it. This is,
The worst state to live in right now is Colorado, and nobody's talking about it.
This is what Elon Musk and Donald Trump are trying to do. They want to get their greedy little hands on literally trillions of dollars and share it with the banker buddies who keep them in power, the Republican Party. And you got great organizations out there like Social Security Works, Alex Lawson and friends who are constantly telling us about this. They're worthy of your support, by the way. They're kind of the little engine that could. But I'm fully expecting this year, this 2026 year, that if the Republicans can hang on to the House, that you're going to see legislation beginning the process of privatizing Social Security. George W. Bush did this with Medicare in 2005. In 2005, I believe it was 2005, might have been 3, but I'm pretty sure it was 5. George W. Bush wanted to privatize Medicare. It's like, why should the government be doing this? I mean, the government can do it at, again, a fraction of a percent overhead and do it very efficiently. Why should the government be doing this when for-profit insurance companies who kick back money to the Republican Party could be doing it? And so he created this thing. It pre-existed, but not in the form that it got reinvented. He created this thing called Medicare Part C, also known as Medicare Advantage, which isn't Medicare. It's private health insurance. Basically, if you sign up for Medicare Advantage, what you're doing is you're telling the Medicare offices, don't worry, I don't want Medicare anymore. I will trust United Healthcare or Anthem or one of these other companies. I'm going to go private. And more than half of America has done this because of very aggressive advertising on television. And they made it look like it was some kind of great service. Well, Reagan started this process back in the 1980s. Reagan started the process of trying to privatize Social Security. And the first step of that was 401ks and IRAs, investment retirement accounts. Originally it was IRAs, then it became, they kind of expanded them under the Section 401k of the tax code. And now you've got literally trillions of dollars sitting in 401ks and IRAs all over the country among people. And that was the whole goal of that was to wean people off dependence on Social Security so that Social Security could be rolled into the 401k programs and privatized. You even have a situation where in some states, the employers are required to sign up their employees into 401k plans. Well, why would that be? Why a mandate? Because they intend to replace the mandate of Social Security. You have to pay your Social Security taxes. So keep an eye on this. This is something that I believe is coming soon. It'll probably come the same way that Medicare Advantage did. There'll be some change in the law. There'll be some new option. It'll look kind of cool. Hey, look at that. It'll take a couple of years before it sets in, and then pretty soon they'll be advertising it like crazy on TV. Social Security and Medicare are prohibited from advertising, so they can't tell their side of the story. And, 10, 15 years down the road, half of America will be on this program.
You might never need to buy an